the volunteers, and of course, our valiant highway Ministry of Highway staff. So Saskatchewan's provincial highway network continues to be impacted by challenging weather conditions and flooding in several areas across the province. In some locations, water is accumulated on travel lanes, while other sections of provincial highways remain closed to traffic. Ministry of Highways crews and equipment are actively responding to affected areas and working to safely restore highway access as conditions allow. Highway staff continue to monitor areas of concern and support ongoing public safety efforts across the province. The Ministry of Highways thanks motorists for their continued patience and cooperation as crews respond to changing conditions caused by rainfall, flooding, and fluctuating water levels. Drivers are reminded to remain vigilant, follow all posted signs and directions from flag persons, and adjust their driving to current road conditions. While conditions remain fluid and may change with little notice, currently areas of higher impact include Prince Albert and the Orton areas. Be prepared to reduce speeds or stop. Highway 5, both directions from Mikado to 12 kilometers east of Highway 9 is closed due to water flooding. The culvert replacement construction zone is now in place. And that would be my statement for today.
Thank you, Minister Gartner. I appreciate that. Thank you for starting us off this morning. I would like to now turn it over to Minister Uyghur to provide his opening remarks as well, and then we'll begin a bit of a high-level overview.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I'll start off by thanking everyone that in the province that has been responding to the events, whether it's fires or floods, and of course to the municipal leadership, having to coordinate a lot of the effort and also communicate with the residents in their communities. So this past Friday, just as an update, I was able to join in with Minister Sean Wilson, MLA for Kenora-Pelly, and visit the communities of Kenora, Kamsack, and the village of Togo. And we went through the RM of Calder and absolutely witnessed a lot of the damage that has occurred from these high water levels in these communities and the difficulties these communities are facing. Thankfully, we seem to be seeing the worst of it has passed, and of course, even coming back to Weyburn from Kenora that evening, the highway 9 there south of Kenora, the water had come across, and we had, I know, highway workers that were taking traffic through there, I'm sure, to all night long until I believe that highway ended up having to be closed. And so it's some very devastating stuff that's happening from the high flood levels, high water levels. But we just want to, let everyone know that as the Minister responsible for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, we're not only here to assist with any needs as the flooding's happening, but we'll be in constant communication with municipal leadership to ensure we're there for the cleanup effort and to get those communities back to operational as soon as possible. I know there's definitely roads in the RMs that are out, even 2 roads right in the town of Kamsack that have been washed out. So today I'm leaving after this meeting. I'll be heading towards Fishing Lake to meet with people at Leslie Beach and then also up to Kuroki. I've been in constant communication with Minister Beaudry over the weekend. I know he attended the meeting that was held at Kuroki with the minister officials from the SPSA and also Water Security Agency there. So I'm looking at heading over to the north side of Fishing Lake as well today to meet with people and again see what they're dealing with, and it's very unfortunate stuff. And again, my heart goes out to the people trying to deal with this flooding and also the damage, the wet basements and damaged property from the flooding. So we'll just be in constant communication with the municipal leadership in those areas to make sure that if there's a need that can be filled by the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, that we do our best to fulfill that.
Thank you, Minister Uyghur, Minister Gartner, for your opening remarks. My name is Kara Sabotian. I'm the Director of Communications with the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. If this is your first time joining a call with the SPSA, feel free to record, cut clips, and quote today's call as needed, but we ask that you please just do not live stream. We are recording the call as well, and we'll put it up on our SPSA YouTube or Facebook page when we are done here. As I mentioned earlier, we have heard opening remarks from the Honorable Michael Uyghur, Minister for Community Safety, and the Honorable Kim Gartner, Minister of Highways. We also have a number of officials on the call who are available for questions. We have Tyler Harrison, Acting Director of Intelligence Services for the SPSA, Brian Shartan, Executive Director of Land Operations for the SPSA. We also have Leah Clark, Executive Director of Irrigation and Economic Development for the Water Security Agency, Patrick Boyle, Communications and Client Services for the Water Security Agency, and Devin Petrolik, Director of Communications and Customer Service Branch for the Ministry of Highways. I can now go into a high-level update of the provincial wildfire and flooding situation. Before I'll go into that, I will just let you know that we are going to end today's call at around 2:29. And once we go into questions, I ask that we do one question and one follow-up. And then if we have time, we'll loop back around for further questions after everyone has a chance to go through. So for a high-level overview of today, as of 10:30 a.m., there's 64 wildfires in the province. 7 of those are contained, 6 are not contained, 42 are ongoing assessment, and 9 are protecting values. For our major wildfires, we have the Border Fire, which is around 11,500 hectares, and it's not contained. We have the Costigan Fire, which is listed as values protection and is approximately 13,000 hectares in size. We have the Kerslake Fire, which is listed as not contained and is around 9,100 hectares in size. The SPSA has received a total of 17 declarations of local emergency for flooding. These include Kisiko's First Nation, the Arams-Okote, Insinger, Livingston, Meadow Lake, Phillips, Sliding Hills, Wolverine, and Tasman, the towns of Kamsack, Raymore, and Norquay, the villages of Shiho, Pelly, Togo, Anaheim, and the resort village of Leslie Beach. The SPSA remains in contact with each of these communities. The agency is supporting multiple communities and rural areas with equipment, resources, including pumps, hoses, and sandbags. SPSA's emergency service officers will continue to liaise with communities being affected by flooding and assist as required. There is currently one community that has 9 priority 1 individuals that have been evacuated. That would be the Cote First Nation. This is the same as we provided in our update last week. These members continue to be supported by the community. We encourage anyone traveling or near impacted areas to remain vigilant and stay in contact with the resources available to you. We have the SPSA interactive map, Sask Alert, Highway Hotline, and other resources that are available to provide information to people that may be impacted. With that, I would like to now turn it over to questions, and we can begin with any raised hands. Thanks. We can begin with Chris, and as usual, I would like you to please begin with your name and your outlet, and for your one question and one follow-up.
All right, thanks, Kara. Chris Van den Breekel with Global News. In terms of these local emergencies from flooding, how many of those are still from last week? Like, how many new ones? Like, have there been some that have ended their states of emergency, others who have requested more? Like, what's the standing on that?
Thanks, Chris. We can see if Tyler Harrison can provide us an update of any new incidences since last week.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Since last week, since the 4th of July, we have had 3 new declarations of local emergency. And as the week goes on, I expect their numbers to drop as they are only open for 7 days before being renewed. So that's where we're at.
Perfect. And with these 17 areas, how long are we expecting recovery to take? Like, is the forecast favorable? What sort of situation are we looking at long term here for a return to normal for these folks?
Tyler, do you want to provide, I know we can't future forecast, but if you want to provide a little bit of an insight, and then maybe Leah, if you have any follow-ups as well.
Yeah, it's hard to put a number or a timeline on the actual recovery itself. Each place is different, so kind of depends on what's happening, how bad the damage was, but we are there to assist them throughout that process.
Leah, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll just add that, there's getting through the emergency, and then there's also working to find solutions long term for flood control and whatnot. And so those are other things that we'll look at as we move forward through these water systems. There's also funding available. It's called Emergency Flood Damage Reduction Program, and that funding is specific to help communities come up with some of those proactive measures for the future.
Thanks, Leah. I can now take it over to Laura. If you can please start with your name and your outlet.
Thank you. First, want to make sure you guys can hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. This is Laura Sharpaletti. I'm from CBC Saskatchewan, based here in Regina. To whoever would be the best person to answer this question, right now a Good Spirit Lake, which is just a little bit above the Kamsack area, they have had massive flooding, including the sand dunes as of yesterday are being wiped out. That's on the beach area there. That is a big tourist spot. And I'm wondering if anyone has been up to that area and what they're doing if they are there to help the community, which is quite tiny. It's a little resort area.
I can turn that over to Tyler, and he can let you know if we have any staff or resources in that area. And then, Minister, would you like to also begin though with a remark?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Laura. And I'm very familiar with those sand dunes you referred to because my family's had the pleasure of visiting those over the summer, many summers, in fact. And I know that Minister Wilson has been in constant communication with the residents along and around Good Spirit and the RM of, I think it's called Good Lake, if I'm not mistaken, regarding that. So very well aware of the situation. I know there were sandbagging in certain areas there. I just don't have specifics on where they were, but again, doing everything they can with the amount of water that's coming into that lake, and it can only get out so fast. And I know the White Sand River was flowing right at and breaching its banks, trying to get the water out of Good Spirit Lake as fast as possible. But it's dealing with that sort of shallow gradient that they have as far as the water getting out of there. So that's the update that I have and the information I received from last Friday.
Thanks, Minister. Tyler, do you have any specifics on that situation in that area?
Yeah, our emergency services officers have been in contact with the area, with, as Minister said, with the RM of Good Lake, as well as with Burgess Beach in that area. So we do have equipment being sent out as we speak, and there is equipment on the ground there, and we do remain in contact with the local leadership in the area.
Thank you. Laura, did you have a follow-up?
I do. I do want to thank both of you. Those are great answers. I really appreciate it. We're CBC. We're heading up on a road trip to that area, so that is great. My follow-up question is the amount of videos coming in of a couple days ago of the highway, the road conditions between Kenora and Yorkton were intense. And I'm wondering if you can really explain to me, first of all, if you know how high that water level got. It's okay if you don't. And what the cleanup / maintenance to protect this from happening next year after would be like. Anything you could provide in terms of that roadway, especially between Kenora and Yorkton.
Okay, a few areas we can go on that one. I'll start off with
Take your pick.
Devin. Devin, if you want to speak to the highway piece to it, and then Leah or Tyler, one of you can provide some remarks again on the post event.
Yeah, that area is a one of concern near the Yorkton region. The Ministry of Highways prioritizes maintenance based on many factors. I'll start with that. Traffic usage, economic impact, and of course, safety. That's number one. Historical flood data is also a very important consideration. And I also want to say that there is flexibility built into highways yearly maintenance to account for events like this. As for mitigation during an event like this, Highways has a number of ways to ensure roads are safe for motorists during these events. So these include using aggregate to fill in washed out roadways. In some cases, even metal plates to cover holes as a temporary measure. Temporary bridges, temporary culverts to help drivers cross bodies of water where needed. These are measures that are generally temporary, and that helps our crews and engineers come up with more permanent solutions as we are forward looking. So as for the actual height of the water, I don't have that answer, but I hope that answers some of that.
I appreciate that, Devin. Leah or Tyler, do one of you want to provide some remarks about post events or flood waters?
Well, what I'll maybe speak to is the actual event itself and the water levels. So I can't speak to exactly how that water came together on the ground, but I can tell you that that area did get between 100 and 120 millimeters, of water in a very short time. And so that is why we saw the impacts that we did. I'll pass it to Tyler in case he has something to add.
Yeah, I'll just add for local municipalities in the area that if there is any sort of recovery efforts that they may need to do, there is the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program that if they reach out to our agency, we will be able to provide them with some more information as well as help guide them through the process of applying for a designation.
Thank you all. Those are great answers. I really appreciate your time. How thorough.
Thanks, Laura. Now we'll go to Sierra. I might have lost Sierra because I don't see her in the chat, but you can join.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thanks. Sorry, Sierra with CTV News Regina. I believe, Kara, you mentioned there were 17 declarations with communities of flooding. Are you able to list if all of them are declared a state of emergency or which ones have?
So the list that I would have provided would have been the declarations of local emergency that had been submitted to the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. Do you want me to put that list into the chat? Would that be helpful?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I just wanted to make sure those 17 was the state of emergency. Thanks. And then the question I have in regards to the wildfires, I guess compared to last year, whoever this is directed to, what preventative or resources are being handled, I guess, this year to kind of combat it?
Yeah, I can have Brian Chartrand answer the question about our response for this year.
Thank you. Good question. So yeah, relative to last year, so far we've experienced a lot less wildfires, especially human-caused wildfires. But unfortunately, in the north, we haven't received the precip as the southern portion of the fire or of the province has experienced. We've gotten some lightning storms, which started majority of the fires that we're dealing with now, the 64 that was mentioned earlier. But some of the things that we've done compared to last year, so we got an additional long-term helicopter. So that's a helicopter available to us throughout the season for our crews to utilize for suppression efforts. We've also brought in outside resources such as the Q400 and the 802s from New Brunswick to assist as well, being a little more proactive based on the forecast that we received, knowing that we'd be experiencing dry conditions in the north, and also been engaging with communities a lot sooner than normal protocols would be. So sharing media information, social media, engaging with the communities, with having representatives at the community level, the ESOs and protection officers, as well as our emergency crisis support staff as well, to pre-register residents in a timely manner to help organize some of that preparation work if there were to be an evacuation. Fortunately enough, we did receive some precip on the fires and lower temperatures, so we were managed or able to contain a couple of the fires of note over the weekend, the Gulak fire and the Red fire. Both these fires are near communities of South End and Wollaston, and holding ground on the other two fires of note, which would be the SEIR-01 and the Cursed Lake fires. They have not progressed towards the communities any further. So hopefully that answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. We can now go to Jeremy.
Hello, Jeremy Stein to the Canadian Press. This is a question for Minister Uyghur or Tyler. I'm just wondering what it looks like on the ground right now, particularly in Kenora, Kamsack, Norquay, that area. And in addition to that, what is the SPSA doing in those areas, those towns?
Sure. Minister, do you want to start off?
Sure. Well, I could tell you, some of my observations from touring through those communities on Friday is essentially a lot of people getting together and helping remove furniture, carpet, flooring, and in Kenora, for instance, there's actually a stockpile in the community that of people just you could be seeing them driving their half-ton trucks down to unload this damaged property in this location to later be hauled away, and people making trips out to the transfer stations in Kamsack. Again, I think the number that we were provided from the administrator of the town was that approximately 70% of the basements had some sort of water damage, which is a very high number. So you can imagine everywhere you look, people are just trying to get cleaned up, and they've got cleanup companies, shampooers, parked in their driveways, and the doors are open, and on their lawn is their damaged goods, and then there's as you drive through the RM, it's just the amount of water flowing where water doesn't normally flow, and when you head south to Kamsack, it's almost as far as the eye can see in the valley, which they call the flats. It's all underwater, and you cross a bridge and the water's right at the bottom of the bridge, and flowing through as fast as it can down that chain. The white sand and the Assiniboine meet by Kamsack, and then the Assiniboine is just it's swelled over its banks and across farmland and pasture, and you get into the RMs, and there's roads closed, and we're driving through low-level crossings where the water's across the road in numerous spots when we were leaving the village of Togo as well. So yeah, it's in the homes, I think they're in the cleanup mode, but out in the country, the water is still flowing quite rapidly, and those they're just concerned that another incident doesn't come along to drop another 4 inches in one blast or something and just overwhelm a network that is right at capacity.
Thank you very much, Minister Uyghur. Tyler, did you want to add anything to that, or are we okay to move on?
Yeah, I can add a little bit to it. So when we receive the declaration of local emergency from the communities in that area, we are in touch with them as quickly as we can. So what we're doing with some of the communities down in that area is we are providing flood equipment to a lot of them, specifically pumps, sandbags, and if needed, we could provide manpower as well to help. So our staff is also assisting with the process of navigating the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program. And then in some readiness capacity, we have moved some flood equipment into the area as a cache in case anybody needs it, so it can be available quicker to them.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up for me, we are seeing a lot of sewer systems struggle to keep up, and that's why we've seen so many flooded basements. I'm just wondering, this is to the Minister Uyghur. I mean, what role do you think the province can play in terms of helping these communities upgrade their sewer systems to hopefully prevent something like this happening again?
No, good question. I think that's definitely part of the review that's going to happen at the municipal level. After an incident like this goes through, is there something else that can be done to upgrade the sewer system? I mean, that was one of the questions I asked when we were in Kenora, as far as they have curb and gutter system in Kenora for groundwater, and what is the possibility of upgrading that? And unfortunately, I think the answer in Kenora is that it's a really, really costly process, and it would be yeah, a major project. But it's again something that's probably a question that I think the municipalities have to work with their engineers and their advisors to see, is there something else we can do at the infrastructure level, and then possibly further education in the community with residents as well. I do know that you get your sump pump pumping into the sewer system when there's quite possibly a way for your sump pump to pump it externally like it should out say a basement window or something like that. So really an evaluation at the municipal level as well, by maybe even surveying residents to see what their system setup was as far as pumping the groundwater that is entering their basement to not overwhelm the sewer system. So I think there'll be definitely some reviews at the municipal level, and as a government we'll have to be obviously in touch with municipal leadership to see, is there something else we can do provincially as far as supporting that.
Thank you, Minister. We'll next go to Jeff.
Hi there, Jeff Smith from 980 CJME. The minister may have partially answered my question, but Leah, you alluded to some longer-term solutions, and I'm wondering what kind of things you might have in mind that could help these communities mitigate these risks in the future.
Minister, do you want to start off with repeating a little bit, and then Leah can answer as well?
No, thanks for that question. Again, that's part of my job as a minister, and going out and meeting with these municipal leaders in these communities affected and hearing the feedback from their residents. And then it's also, when we're touring through the community and looking at their pump stations and how the water flows in and out of their community, that's exactly what we're doing. Even meeting with the administrator and the mayor in Kamsack, we pulled it up on Google Maps to see, where's the water coming in, where's it going out, why did these two roads get washed out. That's how you find some solutions, as well as having those discussions. And with our, I'd say, limited engineering knowledge, that's part of it. But again, I think the bigger picture is the municipalities have to work with engineers and professionals to sort of advise them on what options are there, and then again, that's where we engage further with them after they've had those discussions as well. I think you learn everything from every flood that happens. You learn a little bit, and if there's ways that we can adapt and changes that we can make that minimize the damage next time, we have to be looking at all options.
Thank you, Minister. Leah, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was really well done. The one thing that I might add is a lot of these areas do have local watershed associations, and they can really help be a good local community conduit to help get some of those engineering solutions brought together, and they've worked really well in some areas.
Okay, we have reached 2:30, and I believe we've gone through everybody once and done all the follow-ups. So we will conclude today's media availability here. If you have any following questions, please send them to media.spsa@gov.ska. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Have a safe rest of the day.